Hey, Foot Clan. Before we start today's show, I want to invite you to visit jointhefoot.com, become a part of our fantasy football community. And look, rankings, they come out today. And if you're a member at jointhefoot.com, you get premium projections, the full stat line for every single player. You get premium flex rankings, and you get our new consistency charts, which are updated through week 4, and a ton of other perks, including an extra episode of this show each and every week.
Woohoo!
So check it out at jointhefoot.com.
This is Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Playdraft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in.
Hope your waivers went well.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Hey,
It's waiver day. Hey, Andy.
I'm just going to agree with everything today.
Got a great show?
Mike agrees.
Of course, it's going to be fantastic.
Got Pump the Brakes on the show today.
Yep.
We've got Mailbag.
Oh, mailbag, yeah. Got that.
Keep, Trade, Cut.
Oh, my goodness.
I would cut you right now.
Keep, trade, cut.
I'd set you free.
We got that.
I'm going to trade him. He's got great value.
Does he?
The fantasy hitman with a nickname like that.
Have you seen his record in League of Record?
Ooh.
Are you sure the value's there?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Sometimes you got to just cut ties. We talked about this on the show yesterday.
Why you got to punch me right in the privates?
That is
with your words of shame.
well, yeah, your dynasty team is unstoppable.
Your team is actually fine. It's just your matchups. You keep going up against the highest scorer.
And that's why it's a good reminder for people. We are not exempt from the perils of fantasy football, which is, look, sometimes you score a lot of points and the person you play against scores more.
Yep.
I mean, it's not fair, man.
And sometimes you spend all Sunday just tilting and then finish the day covered in your vomit.
It's just a normal Sunday.
I mean, yes. You guys haven't done that for 4 weeks straight?
For you, it's the last 2. See, the thing with Mike, before we get into the show, the thing with Mike is that he tries to, like you go through a kind of process if you have a tilt week where you need to eat something terrible, as self-medicating with a burger or like a double burger.
I call it self-comforting.
Okay.
Let me know everything's okay.
But you said last week things started so poorly on Sunday morning that you almost like just pre-ordered it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that was the week where by halftime of the morning games, you're like, well, I've lost.
Things are going poorly.
I've lost, and I have about 8 more hours of football to endure.
Well, then, Mike, I hope your waivers went well.
Thank you.
People underestimate the fact that since we're analysts and we have to watch every game and we have to, right? Like we get to watch every game. But it is, if your team is going terribly, it is now torture to watch your opponent destroy you all day long. So, hey, if you want to follow the show, you can do so on Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube, on iTunes. We are everywhere on your favorite Android podcast app. And, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. You can tune in all year round.
Speaking of tuning, we're on there too.
We are on TuneIn as well. The website's thefantasyfootballers.com, and like I said in the intro, the community is jointhefoot.com. We appreciate everyone's support of this independent podcast. You guys are what makes it go. So, quick reminder, by the way, footclangiveaway.com. We have a giveaway ending on Friday the 13th of October. Yeah. It's a Mike Evans jersey, right?
And Jordan Reed.
And
jersey.
a Jordan Reed jersey.
Both autographed.
Giving away Jordan Reed.
Oh, yeah, they're
stuff.
autographed, too. They're not just the jersey. They wrote their name on it with a marker.
Giving away Reed stuff on Friday the 13th is probably
That's the only way to solve his problem.
I was going to say, maybe we will uncurse him.
That is the reverse curse for Jordan Reed. I'll pick him up on my team on Friday the 13th, and then we'll anti-reap him.
Uh-oh.
So, okay, listen. On Wednesday, we get it started with
O'Reilly.
Auto Parts. Ow! That was maybe the best yet. Pump the Brakes with O'Reilly Auto Parts, our segment every Wednesday where we are pumping the brakes on a player that maybe had a really big week last week, and we're saying, hey, hold your horses, chill out. And I'm going to go with Tyrell Williams this week. I'm pumping the brakes on Tyrell Williams. He had 22 fantasy points last week. And, look, this is a touchdown or bust player, and you need to recognize that as a fantasy owner. It's not to say he cannot get it done. It's to say that he has not for 3 of his 4 weeks. Last week he had the long touchdown, and this week he takes on the Giants. And the Giants, despite Eli Apple's struggles, have given up the 5th lowest amount of points to fantasy wide receivers. That makes Tyrell Williams a very boomer bust candidate for me. And so if you need that spot start, if you've got the waiver wire guy, I get it. I know why you're signing him, but I'm saying pump the brakes on Tyrell. He's not a week in, week out guy.
I'm pumping the brakes on another guy who had a monster performance last week, Cam Newton. He's back. Cam is healthy. He's
That's
a
what I
beast.
hear.
He's strong. He put up 42 fantasy points in our scoring system against the awesome New England Patriots. The problem is the New England Patriots defense this year has been not close to the worst in the league. It's been the worst in the league for fantasy purposes.
None closer.
Yeah, there is. They're just everyone. You get 5 touchdowns, and you get 5 touchdowns. It's like
the Oprah Winfrey of the
they're
NFL.
just giving away touchdowns to the other team. Cam Newton had the New Orleans Saints, played Buffalo, which was a good defense, and the San Francisco 49ers, obviously not a good defense, had really yet to get anything done. Now, this is a risky one, right, because Cam does always have the potential to blow up. He is, because he can rush for 2 touchdowns on the ground any game, and it could happen. He's going on the road to Detroit this week. I'm thinking that last week was more of the outlier for this season. That's not to say you couldn't start him. I think that he might be fine, but you can't expect Cam to be this Cam. Don't go trade for Cam saying, "Oh, Cam's back. He's going to be, the 2015 #1 or top 5 quarterback rest of the way." Pump those brakes.
I would just to add to that. I mean, Detroit's the #1 defense in fantasy right now, and they're at home.
Yeah,
so,
they're the 5th best against the quarterback as far as fantasy points given up against that position.
If Cam blows up this week and throws that in your face as you pump the brakes on him, are you a believer at that point? Because he went on the road, does it against Detroit, a top defense.
If he did that, I would certainly pick him up. I believe he's got the New Orleans Saints the week after, so maybe a little bit of payback from earlier in the season.
Sure.
All right, I'm doing something that has never been done before. I'm pumping.
You cutting your beard?
I am pumping. No, what do you? I keep this thing trimmed. I keep it tight. I keep it right, my friend.
I know.
I am pumping the brakes on an entire game.
He's just going bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
Next week it's week 6. It will suck.
I'm shutting down the week.
The AFC.
So Baltimore gets to play the Oakland Raiders. And I'm just not excited, really, for anyone in this game. The Baltimore Ravens are second to last in the league with 570 passing yards.
On the season.
The only team worse than Baltimore would be the Miami Dolphins with 548. Granted, that's in one fewer game than the Baltimore Ravens. Meanwhile, you have the Oakland Raiders who have 345 rushing yards on the year. That puts them at 24th. There is nothing good going on here. You have E.J. Manuel will be replacing Derek Carr. Michael Crabtree's status is up in the air. Who's the running back for the Baltimore Ravens?
So you're saying you don't want anything to do with either?
I want nothing to do with this game. And I get it. You have Amari Cooper. You got to play him. Except Baltimore has a great secondary. I am terrified to play anyone who has anything to do with the Baltimore-Oakland game.
Do the Raiders miss Latavius Murray?
No. I've seen Latavius Murray this year.
Honestly, I think they just need to get Lynch more involved.
But Lynch is not as capable as Murray was in the passing game. I wonder if that's what they miss. It could be all the other disastrous things that have happened to their team this year. All right, that was Pump the Brakes with O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Tyrell Williams, Cam Newton, and the entire Ravens-Raiders game. I don't blame you, though. So let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Look, a lot is
So the
Go ahead.
over-under on that game is 39 points.
Oh, man.
39 even.
They're giving that game 39
I'll
points.
take the under.
Yeah, I would take the under as well.
Yeah. A lot of fantasy-relevant news in Green Bay right now because you have Davante Adams' injury, you have Jamaal Williams' injury, you have Ty Montgomery's injury, and you don't know basically who's going to play and who's not going to play. Now, Adam Schefter came out and said that he believes Davante Adams is going to suit up this week after that crushing hit. He says he thinks he plays.
Everything that was reported about Green Bay, and we're talking beat reporters, we're talking national reporters, has completely 180'd. You had Davante Adams with the devastating hit, looked like he's guaranteed to be out at least a week, if not multiple weeks. You had Ty Montgomery leave the game with reportedly broken ribs. I mean, he's broken ribs, and they're like, oh, well, he might be able to play next week. Then you had Jamaal Williams leave that game with a knee injury, and that was reported immediately. Williams is going to be out multiple weeks. Now you have
Everyone's healthy.
Now you have Montgomery who's like, well, maybe he won't play. No, Williams is saying, well, I'm good to go. I'm going to play. What is
When I saw the Jamaal Williams
happening?
news, I adjusted my Aaron Jones bids. I mean, I had heard yesterday from you, I think, that you thought Williams had no chance of going. So
that's
I'm like,
what they said, multiple weeks for Jamaal Williams.
Yeah, I still
They
do
meant
not believe
multiple
that
days.
Ty
Yeah.
Montgomery will play. I think if he does play, it's bad news for everyone involved. I'm not sure I would want to start Ty Montgomery, but you might have to if he starts. You're just going to have to keep watching. What's the practice report look like on Thursday, on Friday? That's going to give you the clearest indication.
And the thing is, I initially thought, I'm going to go adjust my Aaron Jones bids. I'm going to pull him down because it seemed like a one week rental at most. Then I just let him ride because I believe
in case?
I believe in what I saw with Aaron Jones. Jamaal Williams is.
What about Geronimo Allison and your thoughts of him having a 1 week start with Adams potentially missing?
Oh, I mean, I wasn't aggressively going after Allison. He was just going to be a spot start at the wide receiver, and there's other guys. So I'm still personally being aggressive on Aaron Jones.
All right, Marcus Mariota, he's banged up. The Titans signed Brandon Weeden to a 1-year deal. Is this indicative of Mariota likely to miss? And does that make, their opponent in week number 5 attractive on the defensive side? Miami at home against Tennessee, possibly without Mariota?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would say, too. Jets have released Will Tye. That escalated quickly. He went from 22 snaps to inactive to released. ASJ. Getting it done.
Yeah, it's huge.
Confidence level of ASJ is there. And then for those following Josh Gordon's life, not applied for reinstatement. He did just get out of rehab. The Browns have been kind of ambiguous about what they would even do with Gordon if he was reinstated, so nothing new there. And then Josh Doctson, he hurt his shoulder, but this is the bye week for the Redskins, so we'll have more news on Doctson and Kelly's availability as we approach week 6.
They say he hurt his shoulder on that last catch, right? That failed.
Well, I wouldn't call it a
catch.
catch. Yeah.
Well, right, that failed attempt at a catch. I feel like that's one of those things where he comes down, drops the ball, and is like, ah!
Oh, you mean
my shoulder?
You mean like when P. Ryan got a bruised hand for his fumble?
Oh, my hand's destroyed. It's broken into 1,000 pieces.
That's the culture of fear that Jay Gruden has instilled, is if you make a mistake, you have to pretend you're hurt on Washington in order to escape punishment.
Keep your job.
Coach him up.
In order to not be grounded and not be able to call your friends on the phone.
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I was hurt, sir.
It was the dog. The dog knocked over the vase, Mom.
Unbelievable. All right, we're getting into some Keep Trade Cut.
Keep Trade Cut.
All right, Keep Trade Cut. I think we said this yesterday, but confirm it. Terrence West, I'm cutting him.
Yeah, he's a package trade cut guy.
But
I don't know what what you just said.
There are certain guys, that you're going to cut, and you don't even need to explore package trading them because no one would ever pay any attention.
That's Terrence West.
I think Terrence West. I think you might be able to get somebody in a package trade to. You always talk about when you trade, you want a running back.
Yeah.
So maybe he's the running back you give back to someone to just make them feel better about life.
It's also very possible that you look down at your watch and go, I will never get those 2 hours of my life back.
Sure.
Trying to trade Terrence West.
All right. What about the other backfield mate there? Javorius Allen had the big week, and then he's not been great. What do you do with Javorius Allen right now? Keep him?
Yeah, you hold him. I mean, he's got 3 weeks in a row with 5 receptions or more. He hasn't been great, but the Baltimore offense hasn't been great. He's still an involved running back. You got to hold him.
I think I would try to trade him because while he's going to get the targets, he's rocking the mark of the beast right now with targets the past 3 weeks. But he's not going to get carries. He got 2 this past week against Pittsburgh. I mean, the way that they use him, they don't want to. That's certainly what it feels like.
That they don't want to use Buck Allen.
Well, that offense is terrible.
Yeah, I can buy
it's a big
into
problem.
that.
If you got 40-something yards passing through the first half of these games, that's an issue. Brandon Cooks, New England Patriots wide receiver. Keep trade cut Brandon Cooks. Had a big week 2 weeks ago. Has the ability to disappear like a magician.
Yeah, he's Houdini.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how pissed are you if you drafted Brandon Cooks in the second round and then you watched Chris Hogan get drafted, what,
15th,
8th, 9th round after after things shook up in the draft?
He's a keep for me.
He's definitely a keep for me because
Tampa,
of the matchup this week.
Jets, Atlanta next 3 weeks, Chargers.
Here's the thing that you know about Brandon Cooks. He has monster blow-up games. He did 2 weeks ago. He will this week or next week. I'm not trading him unless it's off of the week where he has a monster week because that's when you're going to get the most value for him.
Hey.
Last week he had 5 points, and so you're just trading him low right now. You hold.
Brooks, the matchups that you have in here on the dock, are they going through week 16 or 17?
17.
They are going through 17. Okay. I wanted to be able to glance at kind of end-of-season schedules for some of these guys as well. Keep trade cut Alex Smith. Yesterday on the show we asked the question, was he in every week start? I think we all agreed he was. I think that means what? I
think that means trade.
Yeah.
Whenever you can trade a quarterback for a running back or a wide receiver, I was able to convert Cam Newton off of his monster week into Mark Ingram coming up on his bye, but I just couldn't pass that up because if you could trade Alex Smith for a serviceable running back or a good wide receiver, I would do it.
All right, what about Jacquizz Rodgers Thursday night? I'm starting to bend myself a little bit more towards the thought that Martin's going to take over quick. He was reinstated to the active roster yesterday.
You trade him to the Doug Martin owner.
But let's say the Doug Martin owner is not biting. Are you going to hold him? Knowing that
I'm
he's
in that
just
situation. He doesn't want him, and I'm going to give him a week. That's my policy. I'm going to keep him for a week, make sure something doesn't go sideways with Doug Martin this week, and then I'm going to let him go probably.
Because if I'm the Doug Martin owner, I'm calling that bluff on the Jacquizz Rodgers owner. Like, yeah, okay, whatever, man.
It's a tough situation.
Do what you got to do. You're going to cut him.
But you might not. You can play that game wrong. If you're the Doug Martin owner and it's a 50-50 split this week, that Doug Martin owner might be really interested.
Right. Yeah, I'm just saying I'm not trying to buy Jacquizz Rodgers right now.
You're going to wait.
Yeah.
All right, keep trade cut. Let's go. What do you do with Kareem Hunt's current pace? I know it seems like a weird guy to bring up, but he's on fire. Like people talk about 2,000 yards. People talk about 2,000-plus all-purpose yards. Kareem Hunt, if you are hurting at running back, is this a player that you can go leverage for, I don't know, would you trade him for DeMarco Murray and Melvin Gordon?
I was gonna say, if you're doing a twofer, you're gonna have to buy low on guys.
But that's so frightening.
I would
Melvin
not
Gordon.
Do that. I would
you
not
would not do that.
No, I would not. I would keep Kareem Hunt because
he's a keep for me too. I don't think.
So you're saying if you were offered Melvin Gordon, DeMarco Murray,
I'm keeping Kareem Hunt in that situation.
Yeah. Because there's no risk. There's no risk with Kareem Hunt. He's awesome, and he's going to be great for the rest of the year. Meanwhile, DeMarco Murray is getting off to a really slow. I know he had the 70-yard touchdown where everyone escorted him into the end zone, but besides that, he's done very little. Melvin Gordon he's dealing with the knee injury. He's shown at times that he can vanish if he's not getting a touchdown. I mean, you're looking at guys like that, like Gordon Ajayi. Would you trade Kareem Hunt for those two guys?
For Gordon and Ajayi?
Yeah.
See, I think I would.
I still would not.
I would in both those situations if you don't have others. But it is worth noting what you guys are saying is there are very, very, very few fantasy football players out there that are difference makers, that are like having two players in one spot. The guys that will have a high floor but can erupt for 40 points and win you a week. You know, your Antonio Browns and Gronks and Lev Bells. Kareem Hunt is one of those guys, and it takes a knock me off my feet offer to get.
I mean, in half points PPR, you have two running backs over 100 points. You have Todd Gurley and Kareem Hunt. Third, you got Leonard Fournette with 71 points.
Right.
Like, wow, I'm getting two guys. Right now, Kareem Hunt and Todd Gurley are playing like two players
in one
roster.
spot.
So
in one spot.
You bring up good points.
I'm not taking the chance on that.
I have a couple of other questions I want to get into, some interesting ones, based kind of around, let's say your team is 1-3 or 0-4, and some philosophical questions there. Before we do that, though, I do want to thank our sponsor for today's show, SeatGeek. Look, we love the SeatGeek app. Look, you can buy and sell tickets in just 2 taps.
2 taps.
Just 2 taps, and there is nothing like seeing your favorite team live. It is an experience. That is the experience I am taking my family on today. I'm going to the Diamondbacks wild card game. SeatGeek helped me out. I've got my son I'm going to bring, my parents. It's going to be a great game. And the simplest, easiest way to buy is with SeatGeek.
Go baseball.
Yeah, go baseball. These two clowns can't identify a baseball in a lineup. I'm all alone with Brooks talking baseball over here. But look, I got the SeatGeek app on my phone. It's by far the easiest way to get tickets. A few taps, you find seats, you find the best prices. It's really not hard. This is not a hard thing to sell because it's just great, and I've used it for years. And I just bought these tickets to the D-backs. So best of all, our listeners get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. So now it's even cheaper to go to a game. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter the promo code Footballers today. That's promo code Footballers for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase.
Ladies and gentlemen, fall, it's here. And you know what that means. The leaves are changing. It also means that the pumpkin spice is bountiful.
Oh, you can get everything in pumpkin spice
It's everywhere.
now.
And look, Pro Flowers, they know this. And Pro Flowers makes finding a perfect gift for loved ones easy. It always goes over just fantastic when I surprise the wife with a Pro Flowers bouquet. Their best-selling cinnamon cider roses are a great option for any fall occasion, or you can go with one of the classics like the 100 Autumn Blooms or a dozen Autumn Roses. You can't lose no matter which bouquet you send because the Foot Clan can get 20% off any Pro Flowers unique bouquet of $29 or more. Just log on. You pick that exact date. It's super easy, and the flowers are guaranteed to stay fresh for at least 7 days, or you get your money back. To get 20% off all bouquets of $29 or more, go to proflowers.com. Use our code BALLERS at checkout. That's proflowers.com. The code is BALLERS. Don't wait to make someone's day.
Cinnamon spice.
You don't need to just don't wait for an apology to get flowers.
No,
that's not a good situation. All right. Here's my question for you, and I'm transitioning from Keep Trade Cut. We're gonna preview the Thursday night game. We're gonna get into the mailbag, and I have I think some really interesting topics. I'm gonna ask you guys this one. I think that if you're a 1-3 team and you're or an 0-4 team right now, first of all,
I don't know what that's like.
Right. Just this is hypothetical, Mike.
Thank you.
I don't want to I know it's hard for you to put yourself in that position. If you're one of those teams, let's say you got Michael Thomas, let's say you got Julio Jones, right? Both of those players, premier talents, guys you wanted on your roster, league-winning type of players, and yet they have bye weeks this week. And you're sitting 1-3 or 0-4. Is this the time to move them to change something on your roster? What is your philosophy when you're sitting there? Because, Mike, I hate to say it, you're dominating one league, and you have had some bad breaks in League of Record, and you've had to make the decision the last 2 weeks. Do I change something? Do I sell? Do I stick with my roster? How do fantasy owners make that decision? Because I'm getting tons of Twitter comments, and all the Twitter comments say, tilting, tilting, tilting. Do I trade in the tilt? Because I think my philosophy with a guy like Julio is you got a hip injury, he's got a big name, and you got a bye week. I'd be trying to make a move so I can get a win this week.
Yeah, honestly, of those two, I would be looking to move Julio if I'm trying to do a twofer upgrade. And yeah, we talk about on the show, you want the best player in a trade, but if you're roster is really lacking, and you're not going to have Julio Jones this week anyhow, sometimes you got to make that move. You got to suck it up and trade. Michael Thomas, I don't want to trade.
He's just been so good.
He's great. And you know who else has been great? Drew Brees. I mean,
0 turnovers.
Drew Brees is normally you're like, oh, he's going to be great, but I know he's going to throw a bunch of interceptions and all this stuff, but he's been fantastic, and Michael Thomas is the go-to guy. So I still want to hold on to Michael Thomas, but if I can flip Julio Jones, and I'm one of those 0 for 4 teams, which I know nothing about, then I'm certainly willing to do it. And on the other side of that, if I'm a 3-1, 4-0 team, I'm going to go try and get Julio Jones from those rosters. Because it's not I don't believe in Julio Jones moving forward. It just is you've got
to play your record.
Yes.
You have to play accordingly, and if you need to manufacture wins, then you do that, whether it's on the waiver wire or trades or things like that. You know, one of the things that if you want to get real sneaky with is you can look at your next week matchup, not this week. Look at who you play next week. See if you got any guys on bye that you can trade to him, to your opponent. To your opponent, to where you are going to make a nice trade that maybe helps your team out, and, you play me next week and you don't have this guy? That's such a shame. You know, sometimes you can look deep at stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's a good thought. Let's preview.
Now real quick, before we get out of the keep trade cut question, I have one more guy I want to bring up to you two. And the reason I want to bring him up is because I have him. I love him. And I have flip-flopped back and forth this week so many times in my mind as to whether I have been so sure he is a must-trade guy this week, and I have been so sure that you must absolutely hold on to him right now. It's finally happened. So I need your guys' help.
Okay.
Lamar Miller. What do you do with Lamar Miller, who has finally had a big blow-up game? Do you utilize it and trade it with Deonta Foreman there? Or do you go, wow, this new offense, the new, the read options that we've been looking at? I mean, now you see my dilemma.
No,
it's tough, man.
I totally understand if you're buying into Deshaun Watson, and it's at this point, it's hard to not buy into what Watson is doing on the field the past couple weeks. Lamar Miller is going to be a huge benefactor, and he's the pass-catching running back. Foreman, I know he's had these huge plays in the passing game, but that's not his real skill set. Lamar Miller is that guy. So, oh man, I don't think
I try to trade him.
I don't think that the one big game for Lamar Miller has boosted his value enough in the eyes of the majority of fantasy players that you will get something special back. So I would be holding Lamar Miller.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that really is what it comes down to, is do other people believe enough to pay up for him? Because if I can have someone pay up for him,
I think that'll vary league to league for sure.
All right.
Let's say right now, because Jason, you love Melvin Gordon, you could move.
Oh, gosh.
I would do it in a heartbeat. Okay. Lamar Miller plus another little piece. For Melvin Gordon. Yes.
Melvin Gordon complaining about his touches today.
I love that. Love that. Be squeaky. Be a squeaky wheel out there, Melvin Gordon.
Be squeaky. You'd be a good coach.
His knee is squeaky.
Hey, that's not nice. All right. Thursday night. Really looking forward to this Thursday night game. Mostly because the Patriots can't play defense, but they can play offense. So I'm expecting – look, this is a 55.5 point over-under between
55!
The Patriots and the Buccaneers. This game's in Tampa, and look, I mean, let's just get it going early.
Andy's almost upset of the week.
You're gonna give me 5.5 points at home against that Patriots defense? I'll take it. Give me Tampa at home. Look,
the Patriots falling to below 500.
That is – I was thinking about this earlier. No matter what happens to the Patriots, it's entertaining to me. I realize this. If they win, and they win a lot, it's very entertaining. I love seeing dominance. I love seeing Belichick, Brady, the final few years with them. That's great. If they lose, it's like, it's like the king has died. I mean, it's just
Joffrey has.
Yeah, I mean, you're just curious about everything else that will happen in the NFL. It's like the Dominion is over.
You just put Joffrey on the Patriots. I'm sure you made some people happy, but Patriots aren't Joffrey.
Yes, they very much are. Yes, in football,
No.
you know who's happy? The people who like the Patriots. Everyone else in the entire United States, nay, the world, hates the Patriots because they're dominant. They have earned that right.
Here's a problem. It's one we foresaw a long time ago, maybe thought we had overcome, but Mike Gillislee not getting goal line work last week Dion Lewis almost had 2 10-zone touchdowns last week. Dion Lewis.
Yeah.
You have Burkhead, who hasn't even been active for 2 weeks. You have James White with 10 receptions. Mike Gillislee right now, people are pulling their hair out because they're trying to start him as an every week start. He's not delivering. You're one of those guys.
Yep.
You might have a couple more W's in League of Record if Gillislee had delivered like week 1 and 2. What in the world do you do with Gillislee? And is he a must-start in this matchup where the Buccaneers are the 5th-ranked run D?
He's still a must-start for me. I know it has.
Would you start him or Wendell Smallwood against Arizona?
Gillislee for sure.
Okay. Would you start him or would you start James White?
Oof. If it's a half point or more, I might go to James White. I mean, the thing is, he's still getting on the field. He's still been getting on the field for those goal line carries. He got stuffed on his one this past week, but the Patriots have also been using shenanigans down at the line, and I think that a lot of that has to do with teams have seen how great Mike Gillislee is at the goal line job, so they've pivoted at the way that the Patriots would. So I'm still buying into Gillislee as an every week starter.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, look, if you can't play defense and you can play offense, that means there's going to be a ton of points scored. And whenever the Patriots are flying down the field, they're going to have goal line opportunities.
What you don't get is what you were hoping for is Mike Gillislee is killing the clock, just getting the ball 25 times because the Patriots are dominating the way that they used to in the past.
But the problem is the Patriots aren't that team right now.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the big problem with Gillislee.
Will the Patriots be able to fix their defense? Because I believe they will. I believe when we're in week 10, 11, 12, we're not going to be saying, oh, this guy's playing the Patriots. You've got to play him. But
I don't know if you can go from basement to top 10.
I don't know. We saw this.
They went from top 5 to basement pretty easy with the same
that's a lot
cast of
easier to
characters.
do, and it's not all the same cast of
We've
characters.
seen that happen, though. I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago.
The
Kansas City
and
Chiefs
the Texans have done that recently.
But the Chiefs did that on the back of getting healthier and getting more players back. I'm not saying that Belichick can't do it. I just don't think you're going to go from 30 to 6. I think the peak here is maybe you're a 10 to 15 team if things turn the right way. And so can they get it fixed? Maybe, but I don't want to wait on Gillislee for that.
But the Patriots,
you're playing Tampa Bay.
It is a waiting game, but the Patriots as a top 10 to 15 passing defense, that's all you need.
So do you try to trade Gillislee then if you have him?
Do you try to trade Gillislee if you have him? If I'm a winning team, if I have a 3-1, 4-0 record, the answer is no. I look forward to him facing Miami, Buffalo, Miami towards the end of the year and having those matchups that they should be well out ahead of because those offenses can't get it done. If I'm desperate to make a move right now because I need to change things, I don't know what you're going to get the next few weeks.
Now, speaking of, we mentioned trying to try to buy a win. I tried to do that in our League of Record with what I thought was a sizable bid for a waiver wire quarterback because Jameis Winston, was on our waiver wire, and Kirk Cousins is my quarterback. He's on a bye week. So I tried to buy Jameis for $11, so 11% of my budget for a 1 week quarterback rental. I was outbid.
You were almost doubled
because that's where the Patriots are, and I'm super frustrated right now.
Yeah, Jameis has an incredible matchup, and you tried to spend, but not enough.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the guy that picked him up is my opponent this week. That sucks. Go Patriots defense.
Now, that's funny right there.
Yeah.
All right. what other fantasy questions are we looking at in this matchup? Are you starting Amendola? Are you starting?
You're starting
I'm
everybody.
starting everybody.
Let me throw a little deep league sleeper play out there that I think is great. I've actually tried to pick him up in 2 leagues.
I hope it's pronounced a specific
It's pronounced
way.
with an Humphreys.
Oh,
baby.
yeah.
Adam Humphreys, 6 receptions in each of the last 2 weeks, facing a New England defense ranked 32nd against the pass, and Humphreys is in the trust circle for Jameis Winston.
It's funny to think you might be better off starting an Adam Humphreys versus an Amari Cooper.
Yeah, no, and
depending on what you need, I would definitely do that.
And a shout out to
it's crazy.
One of our writers, Nate Hamilton. He had pinged me this morning. He was like, "Hey, Mike, Humphreys is very much on his radar." He said he's been targeted 17 times with 12 receptions for 138 yards the last 2 weeks. He's like, so we got to make sure that people have him on the radar. So I'm glad that Andy broed him up. Broed him up because I would have done it. I would have done it if you didn't.
I'm basically starting everybody on both sides of the ball. I'm not going to start Jaquiz. I'm not going to start.
You starting D-Jax?
I would start D-Jax. Yep. I'm not starting Charles Sims. I am starting Doug Martin. If I've got him,
that's bold, Jason.
No, but there's a lot of people saying I'm going to wait a week to see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, I think
what?
Oh man.
I'm saying don't do that.
There's no way I drafted a suspended player and wait 4 weeks back. Well, I got to see what I got.
You're going to give him an extra week?
No, he's getting in there. You know who else is getting in there? Cameron Brate.
Yes.
He is a great streaming tight end option this week.
Light him up, man. I'm taking – do you take the over on 55.5?
I hope so.
You know the Patriots are going to score. That's a foregone conclusion. So it's just a matter of on a short week, are they going to stop Jameis, who just put up a monster week?
Yeah, I think you go over here.
Yeah.
All right, it's mailbag time.
Mailbag.
Mailbag. Yeah. Ooh.
Saucy.
Does that have some of the Thursday night excitement built in?
I never know where it's gonna go. I let the mailbag lead me.
Oh, well done. I am so looking forward to next week when I'm on a bye. And you guys are running the show. And if you don't know that, it's gonna be.
Oh, Daddy's gone. The show's
2-hour episodes every.
Oh,
we're gonna get crazy.
Hey, Brooks, can you just do your best, buddy?
Oh, we're locking the door. Brooks isn't even allowed in.
Oh my God,
we're just gonna get crazy in here.
Episode's not even being produced.
Don't go to YouTube next week. We might be shirtless. I mean, haven't bathed or shaved in days.
I'm gonna be in California with the family. We're gonna take a week and travel up to Disneyland.
Oh.
So I will be returning happier and fatter.
Nice.
Churro-filled. And you guys will do whatever you do. I'll try to ignore it. All right. This question, our first mailbag question, by the way, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the Submit a Question button, or dial our voicemail hotline at 302-464-TFFB. This question just came in via text.
Whew.
I've got Jeff Kingman, one of the radio guys on a network that I've jumped on before. He sent me an ethical question, and I love this question. It's a quick question candidate. Is it ethical to do a trade for a week with the agreement that you'll be getting the player back the following week? Basically a rental player situation. Player A needs Matt Stafford for 1 week, so player B will give him Frank Gore for a week, and then they're going to swap it back the next week.
If both teams are improved both weeks, meaning it's, hey, this makes sense for me to do this trade this week, I think that then it can be an ethical move, but you obviously you have to only do one trade at a time, because if one of those guys gets injured, you can't have the first trade contingent on the second one. The second one has to be next week.
He said people in his league are very upset, and I am with him.
Yeah,
I think it is wrong. I think it is it's basically collusion, because you are working with another team to an end that is it's not selfish. It needs, your trades need to be selfish.
But usually when you're the idea of these teams are colluding, they're trying to prop up one team.
Right.
So Jason's point of
that's where both teams have to succeed. If one team is going, I'm okay losing this guy this week if I get that guy next week, and so it's like I get better next week because you get better this week, that's absolutely not okay. That's colluding. But if If it's one of those things where, hey, this makes my team better and this makes your team better, you know what that's called? It's called a trade. And then the next week, if it's like, hey, undoing that makes my team better and makes your team better.
If you want to do something like this, why are you making a big deal out of it? I mean, just trade the players.
You got a cloak and dagger this.
And then the next week,
just trade
make another trade.
Yeah, but here's the reality.
But people will get real mad then.
They probably couldn't do it because it probably is an unethical trade. We don't have the exact trade down, but my guess is they had to explain why this trade is okay because next week we're going to undo it or whatever. In which case that would be wrong.
Got it.
He just said Matthew Stafford for 1 week for Frank Gore. Somebody needs Stafford this week. Somebody needs Gore.
Fine trade.
Yeah, that trade is fair.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes, Brooks. Yes, Judge.
Do you just avoid anything like this in general just because it's messy? And what if one of those players gets injured the first week?
Exactly.
Yes,
then you are stuck with them.
Mike said it best with his very eloquent summation. It stinks. It just doesn't smell right. So, Judge, are you on that side? Can you bang that gavel? Can you declare this trade ethical or unethical?
Unethical.
Unethical.
Don't do
now,
it.
what you heard there was completely authentic gavel banging. This is not pre-recorded. We didn't go to a special effects studio for this. Somebody, a Foot Clan member, sent Judge Giamatti an engraved gavel, and he has it now. And he looked very uncomfortable using it.
That was his first time.
I wasn't. Let me. Get
all right,
you want another shot?
Here we
shot
go.
2.
There
okay,
we go.
It's better.
Is it gavel bang normally triple?
It's got to be
gotta
3. It's got to be
bangs.
3.
Wow, just failing.
One more
You're
time,
failing
Brooks.
left, right, and center here.
I'm a real judge.
I'm a real judge. He said.
Yay! We did
Now
it.
we can rule. And
Okay.
while it stinks, I would allow it.
You're saying you
Wow.
you're saying you wouldn't veto it because it's not inherently collusion,
Right.
if both
It's-
teams are getting better.
It stinks, and you're like,
You would look at both trades. You would look at the trade independent of itself. So the first trade
But
happens.
here's the thing, because I've
It
heard
cannot
of,
be a typed up contingency.
Yes, it can't be. You cannot do this is the thing. You cannot say this is a 2-week trade. You can't. That's collusion.
but
You where you're saying, okay, if this guy gets injured, I still get him back.
Yep.
No.
and here's the thing: is the trade itself is fair, and I've heard of people doing this for. It just did like the trade is very, very lopsided, and while I don't veto trades, like knowing that this is a rental for an very unbalanced trade to start with, you're like that's
because
I might try and put a stink up about that, but this is Stafford for Gore, okay,
and they're both going to
fine.
use the players as
Yeah.
opposed to there might be another scenario where Stafford's the second quarterback, so you send Stafford for nothing just to get him back the next week. Basically, that would be a problem. All right, let's go to a voicemail question.
Hey, ballers. Much love from Joe. Just a quick start question. This week, would you prefer to go with Andy Dalton or Big Ben? Let me know what you think.
Oof.
Both are at home. Thanks, guys.
I'm gonna go Big Ben.
It's against Jacksonville.
Yeah,
like
but
I had considered pumping the brakes on like Marty and I mean,
Buffalo. I mean, Dalton's against Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, Dalton against Buffalo is like
Over-under difference is 39 to 44.
Yeah, I'm taking Big Ben at home. I trust
I get it.
him more than I trust Dalton. They both have difficult matchups, so go with the more talented
this-
guy.
I'm actually going to take Dalton.
Yeah?
Yeah, I am.
I
Dalton's
don't
on
blame
Dalton's on a roll right now. Since Bill Lazor came along, he's been fine. And I don't know what Buffalo is entirely. I don't,
this week.
Man, it's a tough one. But
This-
Jacksonville can be run on by Lev Bell.
Yes, and this week it's going to be Antonio Brown versus Jalen Ramsey. And Jalen Ramsey is right now the best cornerback
I was going
in
to say
the
best
league.
wide receiver against best cornerback.
So
It's gonna be a great
that's going to be
matchup.
exactly great matchup. I have Antonio Brown, and I'm not happy that he's playing. I need to freaking
Well, then
win.
you can lean on Winston.
Yeah. At least I still have my fab.
All right, Jesse in Akron says Andrew Luck has a horrible schedule after Week 9. Will he be the top 5 to 7 lock QB we have seen for the rest of the season? Love the podcast, UDK, and we'll be getting the DFS pass.
Oh,
you guys are my
thank you,
FF
Jesse.
ball heroes.
Here's the thing about Andrew Luck. He's like Aaron Rodgers. You don't give a crap what the schedule says. If Tom Brady's facing the toughest pass. If Tom Brady's going into Seattle, you go, yeah, so what? Who cares?
Who cares?
Because that's what you believe about their talent.
If you look, we talked about this at the end of last year. Andrew Luck, he's matchup proof. He's game script proof. All of those things have proved over his career to be the case. So, yes, I believe he is a 5 to 7 lock, if not better. If he's back, if he's healthy, this team's going to need him. The defense cannot do it. And he's getting Ryan Kelly back.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle Rudolph or Ben Watson? Oh, I'm sorry. This is a cut question from Chris in Missouri. Does he drop Kyle Rudolph for Ben Watson or Cameron Brate?
Sure. I think that all three of those guys you just mentioned are weekly streaming options. None of those guys are worth rostering 2 tight ends. So
busted.
So you need to roll with whoever you like the matchup best this week. Roll with that human being on your lineup. And I would usually, when I am streaming, I'm going to also take into account maybe the second week. And, if there's multiple with good 2 weeks in a row, then I'll look at the third week to kind of factor that in. Because if it's close and then the next week one of those guys is playing Cleveland, I'll go with that guy.
I assume that this week it's Cameron Brate for you.
I'll be digging into everything.
It's Wednesday, so rankings come out a little bit later today.
Yeah, this one's tough. I assume it will be Brate.
Michael Dooley says, hey, Irish listener here.
Bonjour.
Love the show. My question is, how many players from one team are you comfortable having on your team?
So you're talking the
3?
stack and then the mega stack potential?
Yeah, like Rodgers, Ty Monty, and Jordy, or Rodgers, Jordy, Davante Adams, or
That's
Brady.
where I think if you've got a superstar offense, 3 is my cap.
Yeah, I would go with 3 as well.
Brad in Astoria, New York City.
New York City?
Would you trade Ajayi to get T.Y. Hilton right now? Ajayi has his lingering knee issues and has slowed down tremendously since week 1. Seems like T.Y. will only get better when Luck comes back.
Seems like he will.
I will say no. I would not do that trade, but if I was, this is still a little team dependent. If you need a wide receiver, if you're winning right now, I think winning teams should be targeting T.Y. Hilton.
Also, if you want to do this trade, Jason mentioned it earlier, make sure you get a running back in return. Don't just do this 1-for-1. Ajayi has more value than Hilton right now, despite the 2 bad weeks.
Ajayi, to me, is a complete hold. I think if you're trading him, you're not going to get the value for him that
I'm concerned.
will have. I had a dream last night that he finished as like the 82nd running back, so
yeah.
that's not helping my case, but I do think Ajayi, he's been getting used, and he's the clear number 1 guy, and he looks fine when he gets the ball. It hasn't worked out yet, but it didn't work out so many times last year for Ajayi.
And that's why I'm concerned.
That's why you're concerned?
Yeah, just he doesn't have this huge history of overwhelming success. I mean, he had 3 absolute monster games and a couple of fine ones, but some very, very bad games, and we're off to a poor start. The injury to his knee is being talked about far more this year.
Offense has to get fixed.
The offense is completely broken. They're pulling him off the field for 3rd down despite the off-season fluff pieces that J.J. is going to catch 2,000 passes. Just saying,
3,000 actually.
I was a little bit low.
Yeah, you were a little low.
I have some growing concerns for J.J.
Some bubbling concerns.
Yeah, like
All
a
right.
stew,
like
a beef stew.
Oh, that sounds good. I love beef stew.
Hoo beef stew.
Is that a song?
It is now.
Does Pryor's performance last night mean that he's on track with Kirk Cousins? Asks Nick.
I think we're getting there.
I would say no.
Oh, see,
I mean, we're getting there. I wasn't off of Terrell Pryor based on the previous weeks where he wasn't that involved, but I don't think what we saw. He had that deep long bomb, which was great. Had a great push off, veteran wide receiver move to catch a touchdown. But he didn't get enough targets, enough receptions to give me the confidence that, okay, he's back. He's going to be a centerpiece of the offense. Hopefully. I mean, he's good.
It's fair.
I think you're just going to have some good games and some bad games with Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's also Cousins looks more comfortable in the offense.
All right, let's jump into this one. At Travis Faust says, Amari Cooper or Terrell Pryor rest of season?
Ooh, that's great. I'm going Coop.
I'm going to go Pryor.
Uh-oh. I would go.
Dun 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 dun.
That's brutal. I think I would.
That's not close to me. I want to water bet that one.
Really?
Yeah, it's not close. So I know you're up for it, right?
Nope.
No.
Eileen Cooper.
Okay.
But I don't feel good about it.
Well, it's certainly going to look bad for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Amon.
Who scores more this upcoming week? Terrell Pryor or Cooper?
Cooper.
No, I'm talking about this week. What's Terrell Pryor on bye?
Oh, it's going to be close.
Very well done.
It's going to be very close, though.
Well done, sir. Amon in Dallas. I took DeMarco in the first round. He hasn't really panned out. Would a trade of DeMarco for Bilal Powell? Blah. Would that be smart?
Nope.
Because I think it would not be smart. It is a full PPR, but nope.
Yeah, at that point, I'm holding on to Murray. When we're assuming that Matt Forte will be back sooner than later, and then the Jets will destroy your Bilal Powell dreams, more than likely.
I'm so glad Bilal Powell's back into relevance. I didn't want to lose. Didn't want to lose that. Didn't want to lose it. It was tough doing the eulogy, and he rose up from the dead, zombie style. Blow, pow.
And his infection spread to Elijah McGuire.
That's true. That's true.
He was he's somebody.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work quite the same.
Wait, did you go Elijah McGuire?
Yeah.
Elijah McGuire.
No, you got to stick to the blow plows.
Hey, listen, our rankings for week number 5. They go up on the website later today, so make sure you check them out at thefantasyfootballers.com. And check out draft.com/ballers to play along with us doing some DFS. We'll do a live draft on Draft, the Draft app.
They got a money-back guarantee.
Yeah, they do. Pretty sweet stuff. So that is it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following the show. And hopefully we see you at jointhefoot.com. Until further ado, we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow, Foot Clan. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.